And say go. How's it going, guys? I'm Cody.
And this is Eli, and you are watching/listening to the Commander Cafe.
Today we're going to be doing a deck tech for Queen Marchesa, Long May She Reign.
So Queen Marchesa is Mardu, the red, white, and black, plus 1 colorless, for a legendary creature, human assassin, who has Death Touch, Haste. When she enters the battlefield, you become the monarch, and at the beginning of your upkeep, if an opponent is the monarch, you put a 1/1 black assassin token with Death Touch and Haste onto the battlefield.
So if you guys aren't aware, Monarch is a mechanic that came out in the second... why am I spacing? Conspiracy. Thank you. Where the game starts out with no Monarch, and there is no Monarch until a card tells you that you become the Monarch. And then once someone becomes the Monarch, that mechanic is in play for the rest of the game. But the Monarchy says... if you are the Monarch, beginning of your end step, you draw a card, and if a creature your opponent controls deals combat damage to you, then they become the Monarch. So you can kind of pass this around, but it also helps give you a little bit extra card draw, so you're drawing twice as many cards per turn. And when you play Marchesa for the first time, you're guaranteed to get that second draw, because no one's going to have an opportunity to attack you and take it from you. This deck, it's not designed to be super competitive, but rather to pillow fort up and let your opponents hit on each other while you just control the monarchy and draw into more pillow fort cards until you eventually hit one of your win cons.
So, your overall stats for the deck are 14 creatures, 2 planeswalkers, 5 instants, 8 sorceries, 17 enchantments, 15 artifacts, and 38 lands. And
we also have 5 card draw. I do believe my later iteration of this deck went up to 7, but that is including Queen Marchesa, so you always have access to at least 1 card draw. Ramp is 9, board wipes is 6, targeted removal 7, and pillow fort or taxes category is 19 to 20 cards. So in the card draw, like I said, we have the Monarchy. Since the build, I have added a few more Monarch cards, so those do add into that card draw effect. But it is nice to have that consistent... Queen Marchesa is going to allow you to draw twice as many cards on most instances. Next we have Alan Moret's Archive, and because there is a slight life gain theme to the deck also, this does double duty for us.
So Alan Moret's Archive is 5 mana for a legendary artifact. If you would gain life, gain twice that much, and if you would draw a card except for the first one you draw during your draw step, draw 2 instead.
So this does work with the Monarchy, so if you have this out and you're the Monarch, you're going to be drawing 3 cards a turn. Very powerful card draw, definitely auto-include in this deck in my opinion. Next we have a slight token sub-theme as well. So we have... mostly because Queen Marchesa herself does make those assassin tokens if someone does take the monarchy from you. So first up we have Annoying Procession,
which is 1 white and 3 colorless for an enchantment that says if an effect would create 1 or more tokens under your control, it creates twice that many instead.
So if someone does take the monarchy from you, you'll be able to get 2 Death Touch Hasty Assassins for free at the beginning of your upkeep that allow you to take the monarchy back. Next, we also have Assemble the Legion,
which is 3 colorless, a red and a white, for an enchantment that says, at the beginning of your upkeep, put a muster counter on Assemble the Legion, then put a 1/1 red and white soldier creature token with haste onto the battlefield for each muster counter on Assemble the Legion.
So again, this works really well with Annoying Procession. It helps defend you on the ground because it's just going to keep going up, and the nice thing is we do run 6 board wipes. So even if you board wipe or someone else does, this allows you to recover much more quickly than you would otherwise because you're getting 5, or if you have both of these out, like 10 hasty soldiers beginning of your upkeep for free. Very good card. Most decks I think that run Boros colors would be better off with this. It's just a good card overall. Next category we have Ramp. Pretty basic. It's mostly in the signets. Because you're pillow forting up, I don't worry about the ramp as much because you have that time to build up your mana base, but pretty basic.
So the next category is board wipes. Black and white, not wanting for board wipes, but 2 underrated ones.
We have Route, which is 5 mana total, 3 generic, and 2 white for sorcery. And you may cast Rout as though it had flash if you pay 2 more to cast it. Destroy all creatures that can't be regenerated. So if nothing else, it's a generic 5 mana board wipe, which is good in its own right. But also, having that ability to cast at instant speed can save you from someone comboing off with infinite tokens or whatever. If you have that mana held up, you can cast this in response. And then also we have Decree of Pain,
which is 6 colorless and 2 black for a sorcery. Destroy all creatures. They can't be regenerated. Draw a card for each creature destroyed this way.
So, especially with that, the card draw, I think, makes this is a very underrated card. Most of my black decks run this, mostly because you're getting a board wipe and card draw, getting to double up. And it also does have cycling for 3 generic, 2 black, and when you cycle it, all creatures get -2/-2 until end of turn. I don't think I've ever cast it for that, but it is an option if you have it in your hand early game, or you don't feel you need that card draw. But it does help.
And it is instant, so same thing with Rout. Wipe out the tokens.
Cycling cycling is instant speed, yeah. So next we have some interesting targeted removal. This is probably my favorite part of this deck just because it is unique and you get to play some cards you may not otherwise be able to play. The first one is really thematic. It's Royal Assassin,
which is 1 colorless and 2 black. Human Assassin. Tap to destroy target tapped creature, and it's a 1/1.
Yeah. So it's kind of in response. If someone attacks me, then I can just kill their creature that attacked me. Because if you do have that monarchy, you are going to have a slight target. Most of the time, people are like understanding when you attack back with your hasty tokens and don't get too mad at you, but they will be smacking you sometimes. So having this to be able to respond to that is a good option to have.
Next, we have Viridian Longbow, 1 colorless for an artifact equipment that when equipped creature has tap. This creature deals 1 damage to target creature or player and equip 3.
And then, kind of along the same vein, we have Pathway Arrows, which is a artifact equipment for 1 mana. Equipped creature has 2 generic mana and tap it. This creature deals 1 damage to target creature. If a colorless creature is dealt damage this way, tap it. And it has an equip cost of 2. So the big reason these are in here is because Queen Marchesa and her tokens both have Death Touch and Haste. So I can equip this and tap them to deal 1 damage to a creature. And that 1 damage with Death Touch will kill any creature out there unless it's indestructible. So it's a very good, consistent instant speed removal spell for most creatures out there. Just the fact that you have that kind of consistency to be able to repeatedly do it round after round at the table is very good.
Yeah, I've seen you combo off with that pretty well.
Yeah. You'd be surprised, especially if you get both those out and you have like Marchesa and an Assassin out, and you can just tap both of them. You can kill 2 different things if someone's trying to attack you. Very strong, and I think very underrated, especially in decks that have Death Touch in them.
Mm-hmm. Next up, for targeted removal, we have Darksteel Mutation.
Which is, it's 1 generic, 1 white. It's an enchantment, and you enchant creature. Enchanted creature is an insect artifact creature and has power and toughness 0/1 and has indestructible. And it loses all other abilities, card types, and creature types.
Really good for taking out commanders. I've pretty much every deck that I have that uses the 3 different colors of these. I use them.
Yeah, and of course we also have like the Path of Exile and Swords to Plowshares in here, but Darksteel Mutation, even though it's sorcery speed, the fact that you can deal with problematic commanders for a long time, they have to find some way to bounce it, sacrifice it. The fact that it's indestructible, it stays out after board wipe, so that doesn't get rid of it. They have to find some way to work around it.
Mm-hmm. Next up, we have the Pillow Fort and Taxes section.
And first up, we have Blazing Archon, which is 6 generic and 3 white. For a creature Archon, has flying and is a 5/6. But the most important thing is creatures can't attack you. So like I said, we're trying to Pillow Fort up, keep that monarchy, and keep drawing cards. And when creatures can't attack you, then...
It's one of the probably best Pillow Fort cards. It's pretty expensive, but every Pillow Fort deck usually wants to run this kind of thing. Group Hug as well. Just anytime you don't want to get attacked and you're running white, it's a really good card to include.
And one interesting thing I have found with it is it's very good at drawing out board wipes, because players don't like saying that I can't attack you, period. Like Ghostly Prison, which is also in here, it slows them down, but the fact that they still can attack you is different than saying they straight up can attack you and take that monarchy. So if you're also looking to draw out a board wipe, this is a good way to do it.
Mm-hmm. Next, we have Righteous Aura, 1 colorless and 1 white for an enchantment. 1 white mana to activate and pay 2 life. The next time a source of your choice would deal damage to you this turn, prevent that damage.
So this is good for Voltron decks where they're trying to also kill you with commander damage. You can prevent that by paying 2 life. So it doesn't actually do the commander damage to you, not even that 2 life. You don't want to use it all the time, but you want to use it for those big swinging attacks to stop like the 6 to 10 damage or more.
Yeah, definitely good for that one big thing that someone always has something that's going to be really big.
Next up, we have kind of the taxes. Blind Obedience, 1 generic and 1 white. Has Extort, which whenever you cast a spell, you may pay a white or black, and if you do, each opponent loses 1 life, and you gain that much life. So you're usually gaining 3 life off of this, and gives you that kind of life gain sub-theme. And also, artifacts and creatures your opponents control enter the battlefield tapped.
Pretty good for... I've seen it in almost every tax type deck. Really good for its cost, too.
Yeah, the 2 mana, even if it was just the 2 mana and artifacts and creatures your opponent control enter tapped, it's really good at just slowing down opponents, stopping those infinite combos where they pump out a ton of tokens and trying to give them haste and swing out. They can't do that anymore. So even if without the Extort, if you just use it for that ability, very good card.
Mm-hmm. And then the Extort just always gives you that just slight advantage over everyone else.
Yeah, if you have that 1 extra mana that you can find to fit in, good.
And then a very similar card, Authority of the Consuls. 1 white for an enchantment that says creatures your opponent control enter the battlefield tapped, and whenever a creature enters the battlefield under an opponent's control, you gain 1 life.
So again, being able to make their creatures come in tapped is very good. It's going to slow everyone else down, slow the whole game down, and that incremental life gain that you get throughout the game does add up and does matter, and does play into some of the win cons of the deck, which we'll get to now. So this one is probably my favorite. I don't think I've ever gotten it off, but it's one I really want to be able to get off at some point just because it's a funny combo.
Extremely close sometimes.
Yeah.
So the combo consists of 2 cards. One is Wound Reflection, 5 colorless and a black for an enchantment. At the end of each turn, each opponent loses life equal to the life he or she lost this turn. So doubling all of the life that they've lost.
Yeah. And it is important to note that it's each opponent and not each player, so it doesn't affect you. So essentially, even if you just have this one out, and this is the 1 card out of the combo that you want out first, because it incentivizes them to attack each other because they'll get double that damage if it goes through.
Yeah, it helps them take out their opponents. And then when you combine it with Havoc Festival, which is 4 colorless, a black, and a red, you get an enchantment that says players can't gain life, so they can't really nullify a lot of this life loss. And at the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player loses half his or her life, rounded up.
And I haven't seen this combo used a whole lot, at least in our play groups or even on EDH Rec. But the idea is you get Wound Reflection out, so that no one's really threatened by it. It's like, okay, that's a annoying effect, but I can play around it. And then next turn you play Havoc Festival. So beginning their upkeep, they're losing half their life, and on their end step, they're losing the rest of it. So you kind of see this realization of, it's kind of like a horror movie when it's just slowly creeping at them, and he's like, oh, I'm going to die if I don't have enchantment removal.
Mm-hmm. So it gets all of their removal out as soon as possible because they die their next turn.
Next up, we have Approach of the Second Sun. Generally, I don't like the cards that say you win the game, but this deck needed more win cons in it, so this was a good one to kind of add into it.
Yeah, it's really good for when you're pillow forting up. You need some way of winning when you're not swinging very much.
Exactly. So 6 generic and 1 white for a sorcery, and if Approach of the Second Sun was cast from your hand and you've cast another spell named Approach of the Second Sun this game, you win the game. Otherwise, put Approach of the Second Sun into the owner's library 7th from the top and you gain 7 life. So the life gain is nice. You should be pillow forted up by the time you cast this, that they're not going to be able to kill you. And also, if you're in the Monarchy, you're going to be drawing extra cards, so you'll be drawing this on your 3rd or 4th turn, depending on what all you have out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really effective, just you need to make sure you have a little bit of card draw to speed it up. Otherwise, it's probably one of the best recent win cons from Standard right now.
Yeah, it's a good one to throw in if you don't have other win cons. It's not my favorite, but if you are playing this, know that you're going to be the target because they realize they have to kill you before you draw that card again. So make sure you're very well protected and pillow forted up before playing this, preferably with a good amount of life, and so forth.
Yeah, you're basically public enemy number 1 for the next 3 to 4 turns that it takes for you to draw that out.
Yep.
But
lastly, I think we got that's it. Well, I know one more that should be included in there was just the may have to look it up since it's not listed on there. Should be in the artifacts. Yeah, Aetherflux Reservoir. It's a 4 mana artifact. Whenever you cast a spell, you gain 1 life for each spell you've cast this turn. And then you can pay 50 life, and it deals 50 damage to target opponent or creature or player. So the idea being that you've pillow forted up. This was one of the win cons of, and it's paid off well for me. I had gotten down to, in one game, below 10 life. I had this out, and I had Glacial Chasm out. So I was losing the life from Glacial Chasm each turn, but I was able to cast because of the card draw, and you'll see that the mana curve is fairly low. I have 16, I believe, 3-drops, so most of my curve is in the 3-drop range. So you can cast multiple cards a turn. So you cast your first card, you gain 1 life. Your next one you cast, you're gaining 2 life off of it. Next one, you're gaining 3. I think I also had the archive out, so I was gaining twice that much. And I went from 10 to over 50 in about 4 rounds at the table, and they couldn't deal damage to me. So I was able to just wait until there was just me and one other person left and wipe them out with this card.
Yeah. And also, just a extra combo for when there are multiple people. Having that out plus Exquisite Bond, or Exquisite Blood, will usually win you the game immediately because you pay the life, kill someone, they were dealt damage, so you gain that much back, and you get to shoot everyone down instantly.
So, yeah, as long as you have 51 life, then you can just pay 50, kill one person, you gain 50 back, pay 50 life, and kill the next person, and just mow down everyone at the table in one quick swoop of the table.
Well, that was Queen Marchesa.
Long may she reign.
If you like it, leave us a comment. If you have suggestions for the deck, also leave us a comment. Hit us up on Twitter on Commander Cafe.
Yep.
And if you have ideas for future deck techs that you want to see us try out, or you want to see any sort of specific content from us, just let us know, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can.
We love having ideas for new content. We're going to be doing a lot more deck techs, but if you have any ideas that you would like to see, let us know. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. Helps out a lot.
Be sure to let your friends know, because once we hit certain milestones, we're going to start trying to do giveaways too. So just keep your eyes up for our videos that come out on Fridays afternoon.
Yep.
And yeah.
Have a good weekend, guys.
And we will talk to you later. Commander Cafe out.